Hello, everyone. I'm Cindy Edwards. Joining me today to discuss important news from Atlas Salt is Atlas President Rowland Howe. Mr. Salt, thank you so much for joining us today, just over 2 weeks from Christmas.
Hi, Cindy.
Always good to see you, Rowland. Lots to talk about. First off, what do you say to investors who are hoping to see a Great Atlantic feasibility study as an early Christmas gift?
We've put out a very solid update today, Cindy. Things are going exceedingly well ahead of the feasibility study, which is no small undertaking. We're pleased to see that SLR is carrying out a very rigorous process, and it's an intense and obviously an independent process. So we'll respect their timing. They're blazing a new path. This is an unprecedented feasibility study on a North American rock salt project. We had hoped to be ready by now, but the preliminary economic assessment expected mid-January 23 will report on the important commercial factors of the project. So we're going to help make this a Merry Christmas to all Atlas shareholders, and we'll be starting the new year with a bang.
Mid-January is not far off at all. Now, the drill is still turning at Great Atlantic. Have there been any issues with the drilling?
Drilling's gone very well in the sense that we're seeing what we're hoping to see, including some of the best looking salt cores I've come across in my career. We've successfully stepped out in all directions, hitting a thick rock salt bed. Although salt mining is a straightforward process, drilling salt holes is a little more complicated than a traditional metal deposit. We've taken steps to improve speed of execution and with a beefed up rig and crew. So we're anticipating we're on the last hole now.
Today's news states that the limits of this deposit have yet to be found. So obviously, this is a very large resource, but proving its size or even the grade, which is very consistent, are not really the key reasons for drilling. So what answers are you looking for from drilling, and are you pleased with those answers so far?
Absolutely. What we're looking for really is twofold. We're further confirming the resource and gaining invaluable geotechnical data to inform both the mine design and access to this deposit, which is the shallowest in North America and accessible by inclined ramps.
There's been much speculation this year about a potential buyout of Atlas Salt, given the uniqueness of this deposit and the need to bring more domestic supply to the market. Are you surprised that this hasn't occurred yet? And has your thinking changed with respect to potentially putting this deposit into production yourselves?
Nothing's really changed. Cindy, Great Atlantic is a very advantaged and unique asset. And our team's been fielding a lot of inquiries. I think everybody's been waiting for the project update we've delivered today. And of course, initial economic numbers, which are due next month. At the end of the day, we'll act in a way that maximizes value for our shareholders. Great Atlantic could really shape the future of the North American road salt sector. So it's a very valuable asset.
Now, give us a quick overview, Roland, of the current state of the Eastern North American road salt market. How many mines are there? What are the demand supply dynamics right now? And how would Great Atlantic potentially fit into the equation?
Well, if we look at it in sort of locations, there's 7 mines within the Great Lakes region, there's 2 in the Maritimes, and 2 down in Louisiana that are supplying this market. They're all older mines, but even producing well, this is generating a shortfall of 7 to 10 million tons a year, especially on the US East Coast. And that's being fulfilled by overseas imports, vessels that have to come pretty much past the end of our dock. So obviously, Great Atlantic is well positioned to be able to fulfill the needs of, fulfill these import needs.
Yeah, a lot of potential there for sure. Now, we've heard some problems on the Mississippi River, which may potentially create some bottlenecks and further supply issues for the road salt sector. Can you elaborate on that at all?
It's interesting, but it's a seasonal issue, but very acute this year. The river is a key part of the supply chain to the Midwest. Grain flows south, and rock salt comes back up in returning barges from the Louisiana mines. Low levels resulted in dramatically lower cargo weights. It's being reported they're carrying 800 tons versus 5,000 tons, just because they can't manage the draft of a fully loaded barge. Issues also occur when there's too much flow. And this demonstrates a weakness in the current supply chains. The markets would be served via the river from Louisiana may have to be supplied from the Great Lakes. And that's a little more complicated and draws tonnage from the market too.
Now, salt prices are up significantly this year, but so are costs as inflation continues to bite us here in North America. So, how does an aging salt mine grapple with inflation? As a new mine, how much of an advantage would Great Atlantic have?
We've talked before about older mines are much bigger mines, and they've got aging infrastructure, and they have legacy costs, fixed costs, and that's a bigger proportion of the cost structure of these older mines. And while costs can always be managed, these infrastructure costs can't be deferred for long. A new mine can focus on the efficiencies that really drive the variable cost structure.
Now, we continue to hear stories of how environmentalists are critical of road salt, and they're recommending other solutions to keep our roads and our highways safe in the winter. So, does that present a potential threat to future demand?
There is no real economic alternative to safely maintain the North American road network in winter. I did some work with the Environment Canada's Road Salt Working Group, and recognizing that oversalting is a problem. The term sensible salting was coined and remains the best approach, putting the right amount of salt down in the right place. It keeps the roads safe in winter. Alternatives do exist, but they tend to be more exotic and expensive, so are used in very specialized situations, airport runways, for instance.
Now, some new participants have jumped into the Bay St. George Salt District in recent weeks, looking for another Great Atlantic or another Fishel's Brook. So, what are their chances?
We're obviously the undisputed leaders here, Cindy, and we have a great advantage of being right beside that deep water port. And this is increasingly being recognized as an incredible salt district. It spans a great distance, and we're also in the middle of what we anticipate is going to be a clean energy hub. We're the largest shareholder in Triple Point Resources, and the opportunities are enormous. And the fact that others want to be in this district is a testament to the value of it. But it should be noted that Atlas inherited over 20 years of geological and geotechnical data collected in the area. I doubt anybody knows the area better, and we're confident that we have the premier assets in this area.
Well, we anticipate some exciting news coming out of Atlas Salt in the new year. Rowland, thank you very much for joining us today. And of course, we will be chatting with you more in the coming weeks with more news and economic numbers coming out of Great Atlantic. Always a pleasure to speak with you, Rowland.
Thank you, Cindy.
And you can check out atlassalt.com for more information. We'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye.